The March 11th Preco meeting to order. And if you would, please stand for the invocation. Wayne, could you give us an invocation, please?
Our Father in heaven, Lord, thank you so much for this day. Lord, we thank you for this community. We just ask you to continue to bless it. Bless us tonight during this meeting. Watch over us, guide and direct us, Lord. Lord, we give you the honor and the glory, and we praise your name. Amen.
Amen. We will pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank everyone for coming out tonight. Sorry for the arrangements. I hope we can make it all right. If we need to, some folks could stand outside this door here, but you know, we're doing the renovations to the clubhouse currently. And so that's going to take a little while, but we're making very good progress with that. Hilda, are you prepared to do the roll?
Yes. Glenn Hunter.
Here.
Tom Trammell.
Here.
Vonda Ackerson. Here. James Baker.
Here.
Judy Brim.
Here.
Bonnie Blackwell.
Here.
Terry Boyette.
Here.
Judy Brim. Judy. Chris Harris. No.
He's not here.
Harris.
Yes.
Tommy Matthews.
Yeah.
Wayne Sellers.
Here.
Charlie Thompson.
Here.
Did I leave anybody off? What?
Me.
Did I leave you off? Oh, you're up here. Okay. Terry Hester.
Here.
Mickey Olson.
Here.
Vicky Sellers.
Here.
Bill Brim.
Here.
Mike Conley. Lori Lilly. Here. Kim Koikart. Here. And Dusty Trail.
Okay, thank you, Hilda. Motion to approve, excuse members, board members.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Charlie, second by Tom Trammell. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the agenda. Board members, you have a copy of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Charlie, second by James. Did you get in there, James? That you, or Wayne? Okay, Wayne. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, you have a copy of minutes, board members, from February. Appreciate you getting those out, Hilda. You weren't here, but appreciate you getting, yes, obviously the tape.
I appreciated having Charlie's video.
There you go. Okay, good. All right, board members, you take a couple minutes, look over the minutes.
Has everybody signed the sign-in sheet? People behind you there too.
So entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Wayne, second by Charlie. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Move on to the secretary's report, Hilda.
I don't really have anything other than the minutes to report.
Well, we sure appreciate you getting them out because you were last minute. I know you were out. Appreciate that. All right, we'll move on then to President's report. Terry?
The treasurers. You
Treasurer.
skipped
Yeah,
the
I
treasurer.
did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for correcting me on that.
I was beginning to
we'll go to-
wonder.
Well, Treasurer's report, please.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Okay, Seacoast checking account ending balance for February the 28th was 48,898.50. Our reserve savings account was 503.60. The CD account is 52,162.96. And our membership Seacoast account checking account was 122,760.42 for a total of 224,325.48. Our CD matured last Friday and we did not roll it back into our savings account. We went ahead and renewed it for another 3 months. We get a little bit over 4% interest, but that's better than it sitting in the savings account earning practically nothing. So that's in another account for the next 3 months. On the back side of your report is the P and L, and I wanted to call your attention to some things that are out of the ordinary on the P and L for February. If you'll notice under administrative expenses, there was $714.90 in bank service charges. We discovered that we were billed some erroneous, what we think are erroneous charges by the bank that handles our members' credit card payments. All of a sudden, we started getting billed these erroneous charges. So Charlie has got a call into them, and we're waiting to hear back from them as to what these charges are for.
What system is that?
Express Pay.
Express Pay, okay.
So, and it's just it just started in January. So we can't figure out what they're doing. There wasn't a change in our contract. There wasn't anything that we're aware of that would cause us to incur more charges because the fee that they've been charging has been passed on to the member to use their credit card.
Right.
I don't know why they'd all of a sudden start billing us these huge erroneous. I mean,
Are they
we've
pretty
got
significant?
$900 something
Yeah,
over the
that's-
last 2 months.
Okay, that's
And
not
there's no
bad.
credit card? No, okay.
So, it's sporadic. So I don't know what they're doing.
So-
But we've got to call in to get it resolved.
I'm working on it with Jay's company right now.
Okay.
Right. Under legal fees, 200 and 250, that's the Jesse Crane litigation that's ongoing. If you'll look under Swanee County maintenance expenses, you've got $550. That was for the survey that was done by Brit Survey for Brennan Park? Yeah.
No, that's
No, for the boat
Okay.
ramp part, right, for the boat ramp part. So that's the $550 for the survey. And then the remodel renovations charge of $27.42. That's what we paid Holly Electric to rerun the electric at Swanee Valley, boat ramp park.
Was that the balance on that contract?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we're done with that. All that's been completed. And then under membership, of course, we've got ongoing postage for mailing keys. That was $710, which was reimbursing Terry and Vonda for mailing keys. Under capital improvements, 300,
No, not, yeah, reimbursing for actual money we spent on
right,
postage.
right, reimbursing for what
Yes.
you spent, right. Capital improvements under park management, Vernon tore out some clubhouse walls over here. And then park manager's salary taxes, we reimbursed Carol for monies that she had put out of her pocket last year and paid some of the state taxes for us on her credit card, $483. Anybody have any questions on the P&L or any of the reports for February?
Those were payroll taxes, right?
No, yeah, and what we owe the state.
Okay.
Mhm.
Board members, do you have any questions of the,
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
you have a motion from Charlie, second from
second.
James? Any discussion on the treasurer's report? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And in addition to that, I just wanted to mention that, there were 2 return checks by members that was also included in some of those bank fees. $175 each on the checks, and then we were billed $24 in a banking fee, but Terry's in the process of getting that rectified.
Okay. Thank you, Vicki. We'll move on. Terry, we'll do the president's report now.
Okay, I got 2 things to talk about. One is the fish fry. April 5th seems to conflict with a lot of people, so we need to figure out a different date for the fish fry.
Have you checked the dates other than that date that,
Well, I was looking at like the 29th.
Well, the 26th, but the problem is the large pavilion's already reserved for that. The 12th. That, well, yeah,
Well, that's
It's the
the
night-
Catfish Festival. Oh, you're right.
and the 19th is the day before Easter.
Right, that's why we picked the 5th.
Well, y'all can have it the 5th. I just can't help.
Well, that's not gonna happen. Change your plans.
I mean, there's still the
Priorities, Vonda.
My daughter's taking the ACT. It's very important.
yes, it is.
Oh,
Do you even see a window here? I don't see a window because you,
Was there a reason on the 29th? Oh, that's not, we weren't doing it.
The
That was the
29th of
original
March.
date.
Yeah.
March the 29th.
Wait, let me look.
I might not have enough time to get my seafood, my fish. We do it this month,
You'd have 2 weeks.
ain't a long time.
well, you make the call on that, Terry, if that's the case. What do you think? You're not gonna be able to do it on that day?
I can call Curtis and see if we can do it that day, if I can get the fish. But that's really not a lot of notice to our members either, to be there.
That's
Right.
very true. Well, we have a little bit of a dilemma then, don't we?
The 19th is the day before Easter.
That is not gonna fly.
What is the 12th? Do we have anything reserved in the tree po?
You said the 12th is the Brantford,
Catfish Festival that usually always
It
causes
always,
a conflict.
yeah.
But
What about May?
Did you make one?
Is there a reason we weren't going together?
It's just we usually do it in April.
on the
The
6th.
3rd's available.
Change is good.
That someone has reserved the large pavilion for the 26th. Is it Guy?
Oh,
I'm out of town on the 26th for a week.
May 3rd? Anybody have a conflict with that? It's open on
I'm
the,
available.
it's open on the tree po calendar. Let me just check this one.
Looks like we have it listed on the calendar on the 29th.
We did, but then we rediscussed it last time.
That was March 29th originally, and then we changed it.
What do you think, Terry?
we can do it May if you want to, if it's good for everybody.
Gonna start
Yeah.
getting scarce around May, but
Yeah,
you're-
for me too.
you're the president, so
Well, I can't have fish right, nobody gonna be here,
that's right.
especially y'all board members. Y'all have to cook fish.
It was good for something, right?
You and I showed me go fish.
Yeah,
Well, May 3rd is good for us.
May 3rd, good for everybody? Board, no?
No.
Okay. That's right, you're gonna be camping somewhere, aren't you?
No, gives.
Okay, oh, I got you. Well, we're gonna have to compromise to some point here, folks, or much longer.
Unless.
I guess we'll go ahead and shoot for May 3rd, I just won't have Bill to help.
I just,
Well, may I ask,
We have 29th on the calendar still. for some
right,
reason. So if we can get the fish, if we can find the fish, it'd be well worth doing that.
March 29th.
Yeah. It just means that, everybody's gonna have to pick it up a little bit to help you get everything in place.
got to start fishing.
No.
Better start.
March 29th, good for your meeting.
March 29th is good.
so hang on.
So we're back to.
You on the phone tomorrow?
I'll call first in the morning, yeah.
We'll find fish. All right.
Well, he just always has good fish.
He does, yeah.
And check treepo.net for the update. You'll update that once we get our final, make sure.
I'll text Carla in the morning as soon as I talk
Once
to
you
her.
get the fish, we'll continue with the 29th.
All right, so are we set with that then? Okay, so what else?
Another thing, I've just been getting a lot of emails from members about these short-term rentals, and
Yeah.
a lot of them agree that they don't need to be in the park.
Okay. All right, anything else?
That's it.
All right, we'll move on then to the park manager's report.
It's like Groundhog Day on these dogs. I'm getting complaints from members regularly. And I'm also seeing folks that I've already told many times that dogs are not allowed in the park and, so that's continually going on. If members could tell these folks, so I'm not there all the time. If they see a dog in the park, they need to tell them they can't be there. Now, we do have 3 parks that they can use. You know, you don't have to tell them they can't have their dog by the water. Use one of the 3 parks that we have. I know it's like Groundhog Day, but nobody seems, I had one recently say that, well, there's nobody down here. That doesn't matter. What if somebody wants to come or doesn't come because there's a dog down there, you know? So,
Okay, well, I did speak with the attorney about that, and so he asked that, we can't police everything 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you are typically working with some of the same people. So what he asked us to do is to go ahead and document everything that you can related to that individual. Of course, I know you have the GoPro, and we have an idea who it is. We find out who it is, we'll send them a letter from the attorney and to stop that activity, and then we'll end up putting it in court. Okay?
I have a question on the dogs, just because it came up.
Yeah.
Not a long time ago, but maybe a year or so ago, it was mentioned that dogs were allowed to come through the park to launch on a boat to go down the river and get out as long as they weren't loitering in the park. Is that still approved, or is it just camping, fishing?
you know, that's kind of a two-sided sword, because what's loitering and what's waiting down here at the river for 5 to 10 minutes for somebody to
Right. So
come
have you
up.
just nixed it altogether on that?
Well, you know, like I said, I get into a verbal battle every time, I ask somebody about their dog, if they, you know, that it shouldn't be here. I just recently had it from another person just a few days ago, you know? And, I like what the chairman's saying, you know, we gotta get some teeth behind our rules. That's all there is to it. If we're not gonna do that, then the rules aren't even used, no reason to have them. So to answer your question, the way it used to be is if you carried your dog down there to get in a canoe
Right.
or a kayak, that worked okay.
Right.
But these people, you know, people are bringing 100-pound dogs, they needless to say, they can't carry them down, but then they crap halfway down and don't pick it up. I've seen it, and I even question them about it. Oh, we're not like that. And then they have to run all the way to their truck and, you know, get a bag or something. So these are things that I see. Imagine what I don't see, you know? And I get members asking me about it because it's not fair to them, and they say that, you know, they say, when are you guys gonna do something about these stupid dogs? We love dogs, but my God.
Well, typically, the dog's not stupid.
Well, no.
It's the one that
And
carries.
and you
the
know,
dog.
and the thing about it, it's the same with all of our parks. There's only 3 parks that dogs are allowed in.
Right, and we have parks that.
And now
that are
people bring their, both the Columbia Cut side and the Swanee side do the same thing.
It's more of a security issue anyway, because of
Yeah.
gathering of, especially young children.
Right. And I just knew a long time ago, it was talked about, it was allowed to let them get on the boat.
But we didn't want to have a discussion on the, yes.
Just for new people in the audience, can you state the 3 parks?
Yeah,
Camping,
you're allowed to go to camping park.
fishing,
You're allowed to go to fishing park. You're allowed to go to Brennan Park.
Those are actually 3 very good parks to walk at.
Go around on the way to the
Yes,
boat.
I think it'd be a great idea if the sign said that. Like here, no dogs allowed, but you can take them to this park. Cause I've been here for 5 years. I still didn't know that there were parks where you could have dogs.
And that's, you know, we've been talking about it for 2.5 years. That's how long I've been park manager. And, I agree with you, but, you know, we got 1 million signs up.
Yeah.
Nobody reads them anyway. You know what I mean?
There's too many, there's signs.
Need to have more pictures because.
Yeah.
Folks can't- they don't
I-
read.
I-
Trails of the national parks, they just have a picture.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, maybe we ought to have some artistic things.
Okay, let's,
Rules are posted on the
Yes,
website.
ma'am.
I would really like
Yes.
some clarity
Sure.
on whether or not you can bring a dog to launch. You know, like Bonnie said, because, I mean, there's a difference between loitering and just walking your dog straight to your vessel and getting on the river. I have a dog and I like to paddle. I like to paddle with my dog, but I don't want to break rules, you know, so can I do that?
As it-
Where's the line? Because it's not clear.
As it stands right now, I believe the rule is that, and the board has approved this in a previous meeting, that you can't bring those dogs into these parks.
At all,
I don't
period.
believe they can carry them down right now. Well,
No.
now, if we can find a solution to that, I actually feel it'd be nice to be able to take your dog on a
Right.
canoe or a board
I
or
mean,
whatever,
if,
but,
if a leashed
but the
dog from the
problem-
gate to the river,
but the problem that we have is
The
from
1%.
the security aspect of that in dealing with that, it gets out of hand.
What if they leave them in a boat? Back.
well, we can't put their boats, their trailers on the
Right,
meter, so
so-
that's not gonna work, but.
Boat ramp again.
Boat
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, James, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, James.
Nobody's gonna bother
Two quick
you.
things
Yeah,
about
Jeff.
dog.
Okay.
We already had a committee discuss it with the insurance company, and the insurance company is the one that's basically said,
Yeah.
if we let a dog in the park, if it bites somebody, we're gonna have insurance. And
Right.
number two, we've kind of toyed with the idea, but again, with funding to try to do anything is to make another launch point here outside the regular park. We still have to have a key to access.
Correct.
If we could just, off this side of the, other parts, if we could just make an entrance where you could enter at your own risk, put your paddle and your dog in the river.
Well, you have, you have this part, you have, Midpoint Park and you have Point Park.
Still gotta get them out.
So, and you've still got to get them out. So that's going to be the other issue. And those three parks are pretty much the busiest parks. Of course, the Swanee Boat Ramp's very busy.
And the other issue is everybody thinks that their dog is an emotional support animal. Well, you know what? When you go and get you a puppy, it is an emotional support animal. I don't care how people put it, because it's your buddy and there's stuff like that. But ADA does not consider an emotional support animal, service animal, brass tacks.
Okay, we pretty much know where we are, so we beat it down. Be nice to be able to discuss a solution to it.
Yeah.
At some point, somebody gets that idea that's good. Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna kind of change the subject
Yes.
a little bit. I had a gentleman that I just met and he lives here and, heard that I was on board and I'm not really, I'm just,
You could be,
stand-in. But,
could be at any minute. You never know.
well, that's all right. But, he asked about the dogs that are running loose
Mhm.
through our neighborhood. They are driving him crazy. And they're, not nice. And, his children, and crackers and just.
It's a county thing.
We worked on that as an association this week with code enforcement in Columbia County. But we have no jurisdiction over the roads or private property. But we don't mind working with homeowners that are having a hard time getting through the bureaucracy. So we did assist and make some calls this week on a particular case.
Well, I guess his neighbor has dogs that are really terrorizing him. And unless he puts a lot of money, putting fencing up, and his neighbor is not a nice person. So he's a little worried about leaving his wife and kids home alone. He goes to work. so-
Understood. That's kind of a sign of the times. Maybe it'll change.
Yeah. But he asked if I would say something and I have, and I'll tell him what you said.
Okay, sure.
We call dog pound.
Huh?
Dog pound. They will.
He had called the dog pound and I believe he had called the police.
Okay, let me cut to the chase on this. The Humane Society won't have anything to do with that. It would be code enforcement, animal control for the county. And they've got 3 or 4 trucks and 4 or 5 people working at that office.
Columbia side.
So,
He needs to take a picture.
Well, I guess he has showed them the pictures too,
Yeah.
because he has.
Right.
He's done everything he knows to
right,
do.
and you'll have to navigate they've got some specific rules about 48 hours of contact time before they come out. So it's all we can do. You can contact your county commissioner,
God bless.
especially when it's close to an election. That's the best time to do it. Okay, we'll move on, Bill.
Yeah, replaced the lock at the boat ramp. It got broken. We also, the fill dirt at Midpoint we put some in. leveled it off really nice, and then 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago, it dug the same dang drainage ditch that it did before. So a member spread it for us last time. I'm gonna ask that member to do it again, you know. Well, but I went down there and I tried to kick it in so it's not as bad, but everybody just gotta be careful, I guess, because, we got it happens every time we get a super bad rain, not our regular range, but I mean, when it does. We've tried at parks to put berms in places like Midpoint at the boat ramp, and that's worked wonderful. There's no place to put a berm there.
Right.
There's other people's property on each side of our road, so we try to just keep it best we can. The boat ramp on the Swanee side, the electricity is turned on. I want to personally thank the member or members that crapped in the men's toilet before the water was turned on. The porta flip was still set on site outside, and it was several members. I'm telling you that right now.
DNA.
Yeah, really need.
Did you get pictures?
Maybe. We just might. Never know. But that just, it drives me crazy. There's a toilet outside, and the thing is, it's not the women's side. They had to stand on the dang pot, because it's everywhere. It's not.
We're getting too graphic. Let's move on.
But I got a member that we pay him, yeah, but he's the one that had to clean it up, All right, the blessing boxes are put in the Coda Park now, just like the one over on the other side of Boat Ramp Park. We're over in Brennan Park. Yes, the fence is down. Yes, and yes, people are going into ATVs, UTVs, and everything. I pulled as much of the fence back up as I could so they couldn't get in, and I put caution tape up. Somebody ripped that down. So until we get.
We're still recovering from the storm.
That's right. Yes, sir. We were, and until, I just want to let people know there's barbed wire and everything in that fencing. And they're, got two young women just recently coming out. The barbed wire was stuck up underneath their golf cart. And, so.
We got plans to repair the fence? Is somebody coming to look at that or do something with it, or?
We do have plans. Absolutely. And it's like everything else, Wayne, it doesn't happen the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know the storm's been by. We have the same issues in Parksville on this side too, so it's not a park side issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to we'll get to it, hopefully before season, which is coming up in the next couple of months.
Yeah. It's not a side issue. We got the same problems over here. So. All right, so that's it for me. Unless you got anything else. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna ask the board if I can purchase, it's a little pump, it's not a little one, 60 PSI. 600 PSI pump that hooks to a 40 volt, Ryobi battery. And I put a drum in the back of my truck full of water. So it sucks it out. I don't have to have a pump. Don't have to have a water hose hooked up to nothing. And many of our parks do not have hose bib. And for 2.5 years, I've been using all my own Ryobi tools to do everything. But this one here, it's $149. I'm able to use it as like a pressure washer after we clean the signs, or I clean the signs or whatever. And also be able to clean other stuff that doesn't have any water available to it. We can get it in a 5-gallon bucket, still use it. So my request is to see if I could get one of those. If not, then that's fine too.
We can do that under the maintenance budget. We'll talk about it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else in your report?
I know, I'm good.
All right. Anything, board members have any questions of Bill? No, maintenance report, park manager. Okay, Tommy, give us an update on maintenance.
Bill has asked me to put a couple of signs up, and I just need funding for that. So,
And what kind of signs you need?
Need to get two of the same sign saying that campers need to register at trepo.net at our
Oh, it's
camping site down
yeah.
there. That way, we don't have the same issue we had last time where we had somebody living.
Homestead, yeah.
I mean, they were absolutely were homestead.
Okay.
I do have a question on the park stuff. Recently, actually two different members came to me, the other day and said, it could be rumor, could be true. The word in the hood is that a member is reserving a pavilion and then renting it out to non-members for money. Who checks to see if they're people or if they're reserved pavilions? Is this something we can add to Mr. Grimm's checklist? Each pavilion, once rented, does it have a reserve sign posted on it with the name and dates of who belongs there? And I know there's an online reservation form to fill out, so that Bill would know who's supposed to be there. So is anybody checking on these things or?
They're supposed to be sent to, a board member anytime somebody signs up online for a pavilion, and that's not been done. It's not being done.
Okay.
So nobody knows who's in the pavilion unless you go online and look.
What
Well, it's during high
reservations it
season.
does go through, it comes through me and I do too. The person that's reserving is the person that has the key.
About to say, I've seen Terry check that a couple times myself.
Like I said, it could be a rumor, but it just may be.
I mean, if someone knows of something, they need to let us know so we can check out.
Right.
It's the first I've heard of that. It's
I've
not
never
said
heard-
they
Yeah, and I've heard it
have-
twice in the same week, and I
Yeah.
thought, whoa, like, I thought, are they renting it for money?
But there's not a
But then
lot
I
of
heard they were
rumors. There's
renting
not
it.
a lot of rumors going around out here.
Right.
No, we don't have that.
It might be something just to check on, just, you know. if
Absolutely.
somebody's there, make sure they're members.
That is something we try to keep an eye on, but we got, we need to do a better job at it.
Or monetizing.
Okay, so sure, we can do that. We'll do that.
They're
too.
charging $250?
Well, I just threw the number out of the air,
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll approve that through the budget, under the maintenance budget.
okay? To the next, but,
All right?
and we're coming along with the thing over there.
You want to approve it?
No.
Yeah, oh,
I would really like to add 3 more signs, one at Fodor, one at Midpoint, and one at Point Park, stating what this gentleman suggested. Dogs can only be brought into 3 parks, and here they are.
Between you and the new business, I guess, I don't know.
so, we have the sign says no dogs, but what we want to do, you're saying is as an add-on of where you can.
There was a hand raised behind you.
Okay, yes. Somebody has a question?
I was just saying that they're already not looking at the signs that say no dogs.
Believe
So
me.
why spend money on signs telling where to take your dogs? You know? Yeah.
What's the pleasure of the board? What do you, we're about sign crazy. If we could just do it,
Right,
if we could do it hieroglyphs or
right.
pictures or something.
Real.
I think we got enough signs
I think I
already,
do, yeah.
and,
It's,
and nobody's reading the ones we have. And all the park rules are already on the website, and if it says no dogs and nobody's looking at it, why are we gonna waste money on it?
And
Why don't we mark the map as you come in, one of the map signs or something? The spots where dogs are allowed.
We all live here, we don't need maps.
But you
I'm for taking the message off of
Yeah,
the
but
signs.
We know where all the parks are, we live here, why do we need maps?
every membership, we have the website trepo.net. If,
new member.
right. And then the old members can refer the new members to it. Any that come through us, they have to fill out the,
Like a welcome packet.
membership.
yes, y'all are.
I mean, if they have to fill out a membership application, when I do Estoppels, I put to them that this is where our bylaws, this is where, our, everything's here. But you can also pull up every park, all the parks, every park that Charlie's put in there. We've got a picture of the park. We have the address of the park and all the rules of that park. And then we also have a set of rules that apply to all parks. But like someone brought up, like the boat ramp on Columbia side, that you can take your dog through the park straight to your boat on a leash. That is allowed. So, I mean, all the rules.
Maybe just having a dog with a cross on it for the parts that don't allow dogs, and a dog, happy dog. on the parks and do.
What you got, Tommy?
Mr. Chairman, we've been through this before, and I agree with Charlie, and we've got enough signs. They don't read them, and so the other thing is.
Most important
I
thing
think-
would be to have it on the website.
Well, exactly, and the other thing is.
Rely on that website too much.
The other thing is, it's only a small percentage of people that we have the same problem with.
And they
Once
already
you,
know.
once you advise people like the people who are sitting here that there's a rule against it, they're gonna abide by it. But it's the same people that test him constantly. So I would tell you, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And I would suggest that we just continue like we're going, and if they have a problem, we deal with it.
Do what the attorney suggested.
Does the parks, that they can walk in, does it say dogs are allowed on the sign?
You have all the signs.
I don't read the signs either. I don't take dogs in the park, so does it say that? Does it say they're allowed in those parks?
Yeah,
Fishing, camping?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that
All right.
gentleman's had his hand up right here.
You had a question,
They're
sir.
not supposed to
Go ahead.
I'm a web developer by profession. I've built thousands of websites.
We're still having a
Yes.
board
Nobody
meeting.
reads websites. Nobody goes, I can, that's unfortunate. It is.
It is, it's true.
They don't, especially if there's a rules list, they immediately ignore that. And someone coming and seeing with their dog that came out for the day and sees the no dog sign, they're just gonna straight up ignore it because they want to hang out with their dog that day. But if there is a sign that says, welcome that way,
Yeah.
welcome dog, they'll go, oh, cool, I'll just go to this park over here. Because I'm not gonna lie, if I traveled somewhere, drove 4 hours or something like that, I mean, not that those people are allowed here, right? Sorry, like your friends or family, you know what I mean? Friends or family come here and they bring their dog and they see the sign, they're not going to listen to the sign. They're going to ignore it because it's like, well, I came here, I got my dog, I'm bringing my dog in, right? But if there's an alternative, I think people will take it. People generally don't want to break rules. People want to follow the rules, but they're not gonna listen to the sign.
I agree with you 100%. People do not follow the rules, except for the people that constantly don't follow the rules. They already know.
Yes.
So let me ask you this question. Let's just say, for instance, we put a sign up here that says, no dogs allowed in this park. It already says that. Dogs are allowed in these parks. Where would we put that you think?
Right below that. No dogs, just literally right below.
So it would
I can
actually- you would actually highlight it.
$20, and I can make one.
You already said no one's gonna listen, so why would they go to a different park?
Well, because there's an opportunity.
Wait a minute, we're not gonna have,
Right,
we're not gonna have.
they're not going to leave this park. Sorry, so it's fine.
Okay, we'll see. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Already taken.
Are we leaving it like it is?
I
or-
think we need to, because people that knows these dogs are not allowed in these parks.
They just need to know that.
Everybody already knows. Okay, let's,
This wasn't a dog.
okay.
I don't think so, though. Like I said, I've been here for 5 years. I had no idea there was a park where you could have a dog.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. We've agreed to do the signs that y'all asked for. We may revisit this another time, and I appreciate the comments. And I'm glad you learned something today.
Yeah, me too. I could take my dog to a park and not have to leave it at home.
And I'm not saying that seriously.
Yeah, no, I'm not serious.
So,
What did we agree to?
You get to get the order list.
yeah, okay, we're gonna move on to, new business, spring picnic.
We've
So
already
Terry,
done that.
Well,
Yeah.
we've got the date, so
Yeah.
what do you need? And do you want to talk a little bit about what's gonna happen that day?
It's gonna be $9 for the adults and, $4 for the children. And we'll start serving at 12 o'clock. And I'll call Curtis in the morning and make sure I can get everything in place. I've already went through all those stuff. We more or less got everything we need, so just the stuff I get from Curtis.
So is there gonna be this is a members meeting though, right?
Yeah.
Picnic?
No, it's a
No,
It's not the members
This
meeting,
is
but it's
just
a
a
picnic,
fun-
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
for members to get together and then we'll inform people what's going on at the time.
Okay, so if any members wanted to speak about anything that day, are we have an open forum or is it just,
We just eat.
Usually.
We just usually just eat and talk.
Except to Terry.
yeah, it'd be up to you as the president, so.
It is a fish fry.
I mean, I can open it up.
If somebody has anything they want to, let members, because a lot of times they're there, let them address it at that meeting.
Okay, I'll open it to the members.
Okay,
I would like if somebody to get some signs out for me.
1:10.
Like
For the-
that won't
for the
be
March
volunteer.
29
Yeah, but
dinner,
so we can
okay.
have people there.
okay, all right. All right, we'll move on then to, old business
Hang on
and,
just a second.
Yes.
Sorry, I've got a little bit to say. It's just questions. Nobody has to answer them. I'm gonna read it very fast. And then I do have a little bit of old business too. So, new business. This is not to ruffle any more feathers. These are just questions that have been, that can be answered at next month's meeting. These were questions that members have asked me, although I did tell them they need to be directed to our president and for her to address the members. Members have asked about an audit. I know this is a touchy subject. The House bill that I passed out in February, House Bill 1203, passed March 7th of 2024. It states under financial reporting that we should have a audited financial statement, regardless of the HOA's total revenue. Before it used to say anything less than 300,000, you didn't have to do it. You just had to have like a, financial statement. This one specifically says an audited financial statement. My question is, and like I said, we don't have to answer them now. I'll email everybody this, tonight. Is it reasonable to do a 2025 end of the year audit since I'll be digitalizing and scanning in all the paperwork? Or would it be better to do a fiscal year October? So that would be probably a treasurer question. Like I said, just to
actually,
think about.
our year ends in December,
Okay, December.
the 31st.
So like I said, I said I would mention it, and it is something we need to address with the new House bill. A lady asked me about online voting access in the future, so that would be something for Charlie to look into. We already discussed the pavilions possibly being rented out.
So no paper ballots, but electronic?
Well, it is allowed in the new rules. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, she just asked because she lives out of town and she, so anyways, I said I would ask.
Understood.
I said I would ask. We don't have to answer them today. It was mentioned that members, no matter how many lots they have, should only be able to get one membership, 2 sets of keys, unless they prove they have a long-term rental. We already talked about the dogs. It was requested that if gate greeters are to be kept local to our community, that there should be a fair application process open for all to apply. This would obviously need to be fair and a lawful vetting process. This avoids nepotism and cliques. It was requested that there should be background checks on all board members and park management. It was asked how many original members do we have prior to October 7 of 1990? Deed restrictions say that as of these deed restrictions dated 10/7/90, all new property owners shall become members. I understand that the bylaws say that even if you're not in good standing, you still have to follow the same rules and regulations according to our bylaws. So I just said I would address that.
You have to follow the same bylaws regarding.
Right. Yeah. So it's probably a very small number of people who don't want to be members.
Right.
But so basically the only thing it would prevent is from them having a lien put on their house. They'd still have to, if they wanted a key, they'd still have to pay. And if they wanted, voting laws and things, but it would basically, so I don't know how many people that would affect.
Well, a member's always going to be able to vote for rules.
Right. But in the deed restrictions, that were amended in 10/7 of 1990, it says all new property owners shall become members. So basically the way it reads, technically anybody who bought property prior to 10/7 of 1990 doesn't have to become a member.
We had non-mandatory.
Right.
Okay.
So I said I would ask about.
And then you also got the bylaws saying that, yes, you must be a member from 1980, so.
Yeah. So those are things, like I said, we don't have to, but these are things that need to be addressed when we decide to start correcting things.
Don't lean on any of them.
So
It was, so this came up with the big hoopla on Facebook about, sexual predators, offenders and pedophiles, on the FDLE website. Don't know that there's any vetting going on with membership. So is there anything going on with membership? Are y'all looking at the FDLE website? There's 5 Florida statutes that say they can't live within 1,000 feet of the school, daycare, playground, or park. These parks are also considered, it's also under the umbrella of private parks. This would be a law enforcement thing, and we could put out notices. We need to make sure that the FDLE website's being looked at frequently. I suggest that the people who mentioned it to me, they can be part of the FDLE team, and they can frequently go through the FDLE site. They can pull up the names, they can give it to the membership, and the key committee, the gate greeters, and make sure that these people are put on a banned list. And if they are living within one of our seven parks,
Um,
Nine, there's 9 parks. If they're living within 1,000 feet of our 9 parks, they technically have to move.
well, doesn't their parole officer are supposed to?
Now, that's where they're supposed to, but it's also us to make sure they're not getting keys. and
In
getting
the
into
past, we
parks.
have had incidents where we corrected some of that,
Mhm.
but we don't have a standard, operating process.
So what I would,
procedure.
what I would
Yeah.
suggest, just like I said, we can address this at another meeting. I'm gonna email everybody this out. That we have a team, we could put it together in the neighborhood. It doesn't have to be anybody else on the board taking on any more responsibility. But somebody's gonna have to go through and put, because people get added to the, unfortunately, they get added to the FDLE website every day. And we need to make sure that they're not getting their keys, and we need to take their keys away if they are on the site.
You become a member on the FDLE site, you can request that you be notified if anybody moves within a certain radius of your house.
Okay.
So somebody could do that for each
Right,
park.
and so we need to put a team together in this neighborhood because this is a neighborhood issue. This affects everybody and everybody's children.
And there are a lot.
No, I know, yeah, I understand, yeah, I actually ran into one and he wanted to be friends, I'm like, oh.
Okay, Bonnie, what else you got?
Okay, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the elephant in the room, because that was the last little bit, because it is technically new business. I'll start with this, I don't have a dog in this fight, so I want everybody to understand that I live within the code and the deed restrictions of Tripo. I don't have a short-term rental, I don't have a long-term rental, however, I do have friends who have them, and I do have friends who are against them. So I want to just make sure that everybody understands that this topic affects both sides. And I initially thought that I was on a short-term rental committee, but now I'm realizing this has been a code enforcement issue or a lack of code enforcement issue for decades. So the question everybody wants to know is, are short-term rentals considered businesses? Since the online.
Hey, Bonnie, can I stop you there?
Yeah.
I spoke with the attorney today and they asked us not to discuss, this matter due to an order.
Okay.
So, gonna ask you to just quelch it until, they can review it and have a meeting.
Okay, well, my thing was, we need to, I wanted to,
Yes.
well, my thing, just, okay, then this doesn't, I've said, I want to get all the questions and I want to get all questions and answers in writing from our legal counsel before we proceed with any
Right.
short-term rental committee meeting. And I'd like to get all the answers, hopefully before April 1st, in case we do try to have the meeting for April.
And we're working on that right now.
And that the attorney, I'd like to see tangible paperwork, because this has been such a, now I gotta scroll through and make sure I'm not gonna say anything I'm not supposed to. Yeah, so we need legal counsel before anything else happens, because I'm not gonna speak on anything that clearly I know nothing about. And, let's see. How are we gonna enforce this issue? Is it gonna be, complaint driven, blah, blah, blah? And then, so this is the very end, because I'll skip over all that, so I don't say anything I'm not supposed to. Numerous members want to see IDs checked at the gates, because people have said, well, I said, well, how do we know who's supposed to be getting in the gates and who's not? Because this comes up with, it's always been an issue of who's selling the key, who's renting the key, who's leasing the key, who's coming in that's not a member. Do we have people who were on the FDLE website coming in? So I've asked people, how are we going to scan
Yeah, and
this?
that's gonna be the issue related to, who's in control of the key. The board,
Right,
Three River State Property Owners Association, controls the keys.
right.
So the rules in managing the keys is through the Property
But-
Owners Association. So they can determine, how the key is handled based on the property,
But once it
and
leaves.
the membership.
Once it leaves once it leaves the key committee's hands and it gets sent out in the mail and gets sent out to the houses, there's no control. Tripo doesn't have any control over that key anymore. So I'm gonna make the suggestion, or I can make a motion, that starting today, we start checking IDs at the gates.
How are you gonna carry your ID out there?
Just wait a minute. Now, you're gonna come through the chair. So we're not gonna turn this thing upside down.
Because I don't know any
So-
other way to start enforcing.
Okay, thank you.
That's my only.
Right.
That's the easiest, fastest way to figure out how to enforce this key and people coming into our parks that don't belong. Because Terry or whoever's running the gates, they don't know everybody's faces.
And
then-
specifically, what you're saying is the policy of the rule says that you have to be accompanied,
Right,
by the property owner.
so the property owner should be
So,
there.
and see, that's gonna be the most important thing going forward as it relates to access to the parks.
So we should have an access list
Right.
that the gate graders have, and then we should have a banned list that the gate graders have.
Right. Now, our next, key day will be, our next, park, inspection, as it relates to, coming through the gates with the security is going to be in May. So that's going to start the season. So we've got a little bit of time to really write this out, how we want to do this.
So that's my,
So we can, we can discuss this and come up with some format for the next meeting,
because I just.
which will be in
don't know
April.
Unless anybody else has.
No,
any
that's,
other ideas.
yeah, because it's gotten to be to the point where we've gone from 125 members to 900 members.
And then
So
double
it's
that and double that and double that. from who's getting
Exactly.
The key out, and now we've got a problem.
Right. Some properties have 20 and 30 people coming.
Because actually this whole issue with the hot potato that Brookie was handed here on the board is it started with the key access and the people who aren't supposed to be in the parks.
Right.
So it's a multi-layered onion, but I think the main way that we can get control over who's supposed to be in our parks and who's
Right.
not is to have a list of people who are allowed and a list of people who aren't allowed. And the only way to make sure those people are in fact those people is by checking items.
So, Ms. Hester,
Yeah,
how do you see that?
I think you're gonna have a lot of trouble at the gates.
Well, it's,
But it
it's all
doesn't-
about,
yeah.
it's all about knowing what you know.
How are people gonna
So-
float down the river carrying their ID?
Don't-
They could keep it on their phone.
We're gonna need to have a discussion,
I don't
like I
take my
said,
phone
before
on
the
the
next meeting to see how we can.
Because there's no enforcement if you don't have control over the key.
What's your thoughts, Bonnie?
What's a banned list? I mean,
That would be if we had an FDLE list, if we had people who,
but they wouldn't have a key anyway.
well, they probably do. We don't know. I mean, we don't, I mean,
Yeah.
Their property owner.
if they're property owner, I'm sure they have a key. They just hope they haven't gotten caught yet.
I know several that do for sure, 100%.
Yeah, so if we're going to tackle the issue of code enforcement and who's supposed to have a key and who's
I mean,
not,
I agree what
who's selling
I know you're
keys
gonna get
and who's not.
kickback, but
Right.
then,
I mean, and we're gonna get, trust me, I'm getting kicked back 360 degrees right now.
well, then
so-
on the first weekend, you get to sit at the gate with a grade reader. But
Well, I think it's all,
I totally agree.
whatever-
I think we should
whatever's
go by the
done.
They're
bylaws.
getting, now they're
I
getting
agree.
paid, they're getting paid.
wait a minute, so whatever's
So-
done
That's the
has to
minimum
be,
wage.
there has
Yeah,
to
they
be
get
one
paid.
heck of an education program for people to understand what, if we go down any one of these roads, they've got to, because you don't want to catch anybody by surprise.
Well, yeah, we
That'd
would
be-
have to
so
put
we
it out in
really-
the newsletter and go bring
But,
your
but,
ID.
but we don't
until
know what
we
it
work
is
out the
just
bugs.
yet,
Right.
till we get to it. So,
Right.
yes, ma'am.
I just had a suggestion shy of driver's licenses or whatever. If you're going down that vein, it would be an expense, but you could do laminated IDs for each member that you give a key, and they could have it on a lanyard that would be
that was
laminated, that could go.
And that was another suggestion.
Yeah, that could.
But that's.
So,
would
but
be
those are
more-
things that we can discuss with
How
that group.
to-
As Terry, I mean, I know we're
Won't
we're
be
loaded,
right.
But
but
this has to be addressed.
we've got a season coming up here. Our first dates are Memorial Day, is that correct? So we've got a very short time to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take, it's a process, but
Yeah.
it has to start now. I mean, if we're looking into all kinds of things, we're gonna start enforcing things.
Well, let's
The
look at
main
this,
thing
let's look at the steps.
who
Yeah,
belongs
because
in a
we
park
are
and who don't.
overrun with a lot of folks that don't belong.
enforcing that, that's what we're gonna have to go
Right.
with what the bylaws say, that the member is the one that has to escort the people.
But unless the great gate greeters know 950 faces
Well,
by their name.
Terry,
She probably knows 800 of them, but there's a hunt or in
Right.
all the extra.
Well, Glenn, you know,
Okay.
I'm the only one that I see more people than even the gate getters, Jane. And they won't even give me their name or their key number.
Yeah, and that's another point I wanted to bring up too, because the problem that Bill is having in some of these parks, when he has somebody that's violating rules,
Mhm.
you can't get their name, can't get the key number, can't get any information, and they.
Right. Now, are you
and they
calling the
won't
law and having them trespassed if they're not giving you
Well,
any
that's,
information?
We have a situation with the sheriffs, they don't want to trespass people.
Let's
got
get,
to consider the civil.
So we're gonna have to meet with the sheriffs and get this worked out through the attorneys. We
We've been
still
battling
still
for-
can't get an answer
But
on
that's
that.
probably a few. We can start with somehow getting
Right.
the main people that we don't want in here, the people who are renting, the people who are selling and renting the keys. I know a lady at the keg room that told me she buys her key from somebody in this neighborhood every year. So it's,
So why don't you turn over names then?
because I don't know her name. She was talking, oh, where do y'all live at? And she didn't, then after she figured out that we live there, so I don't know her name. I mean, I said, know her face.
Well, I just know a lot of people's gonna get angry at that gate, cause you got.
Have you ever had
I
anybody?
got 2 kids now. You tell me I can't let my 2 kids come down here and come through this gate unless I'm not with them?
I didn't tell you anything.
No, that's what
Jerry.
you're
Okay.
saying.
Just
But you
saying,
also have, on
we've
the
got
other
a
hand, you've
process
got
that
all
we've
the
got
other
to, we've
members.
got to
Yeah,
go
they-
My
through.
daughter's 45 years old, and she helped me with my 2 kids that I adopted. You telling me she can't come through that gate
If she
unless
has,
I'm
if
with
she,
her?
well, maybe Tripo needs to have an ID card then. I don't know. How are we going to be able to keep people out of the parks who don't belong in a park?
So this is
if
gonna
we
be a
don't-
bigger discussion.
Yeah.
We can't do it
But it
tonight.
has to be addressed if we're gonna.
And we
this
do
is-
have to address it.
This is the first thing
Yes,
before
we
we
do.
move on into any, because if you want to move on to anything else that I'm not allowed to talk about right now,
Right.
we have to figure out who is allowed in our parks and who aren't.
Maybe retinal scan might work.
You know, but, because if we're not gonna do the basic, then there's no reason to move forward. with everything
Understood, and
else.
very well taken. Okay, we'll move on then to, communications.
Oh, I just have a membership members. Okay, so for this month, for the Columbia County side, we're at 609 members. Suwannee County side, we're at 208 members. And we are at a total of 817 members.
Sure went up quick from the last meeting, didn't it? I mean, fast.
Well, remember we were sick?
That's, yeah, wow.
We've been busy.
817 is a pretty good number this time of year.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Very high number.
They're
Good
still
job.
coming in.
Are y'all okay? Y'all over your sickness?
Any more
sick
sick people?
I think we're getting sick, yeah.
Okay. There's definitely something going around. So the renovations of the clubhouse, just to give everyone an idea, we ripped all of the drywall out, ripping out all of the electric, and we're replacing the windows. It's all new drywall and floor, ceiling, walls, and everything inside. So we're gonna put 2 mini splits in, and all new lighting and a new camera system, 360 camera in the center of the building. Things are moving along very well. We've got it stripped and ready for the next phase, which would be bucking out the windows and framing up for the drywall. And then we'll move on next to the electric. And then electric will be before the drywall, and then we'll finish the drywall, put up the fixtures, and the air conditioning will go in place, and then the floor will go in last. That's about where we are. And we're moving along pretty good. We've got some very good bids from folks on the project so far. So we're about ready to start on the next phase, which would be putting the windows in. Any questions on the renovations?
Is there ETA on any of it, or just kind of?
Just as soon as it happens, Bonnie.
River time?
Yeah. We're moving along pretty well. We've got all the disciplines down and we understand exactly where we're going with it. So, well. Is there anything else? There's guidelines for use of TREPO facilities. You've already pretty much discussed that or not? Somebody put that on the agenda?
No, as far as like people, using this, that it
Yeah.
can't be for financial gain.
No, can't be for commercial use, no. Same thing that was mentioned about somebody renting out a building. A member could not reserve a big place and then rent it out to some other entity. It could not happen. And then there's got to be consequences with that. So as we're going through right now, the attorneys are going to be working very, very close with us now on a couple of issues. So as it relates to that, we're going to have to find a way to put teeth in these things so we can make it happen. Because when people are violating serious rules, there is ways that they can lose their membership. And you'll have to send them a letter. They'll have to get a warning. They'll have to go through a short-term process. They can lose their membership for a year or so, and then it just gets worse and worse. So it's a very arduous process to follow, but it's something that we're going to have to do or we'll lose complete control. Got a very nice neighborhood, got a lot of potential, so we need to kind of beef things up. You mentioned about the audit, probably just to go back to that, if everyone feels good about it, probably at the end of 2025, if the board wants to spend the money, I wouldn't have a problem at all. As far as I'm concerned, we get everything digitized. That may make it a little less expensive by having it digitized. It's still going to be up there. It's not going to be cheap to do a full-blown audit. I think some of the numbers we had before were $10,000-$15,000.
What?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
$15,000?
Yeah.
Oh, we just found it.
These guys are not cheap, I'm telling you. So to get the audit that you're requesting, I mean,
No, it's one that was stated by the law,
No,
not me.
no, but I'm just saying that's That's cost of doing
The
business.
members volunteer to pay for it all.
So, so we have what now? A member that's volunteered to pay for it all?
Yeah, we had a member that volunteered to pay for it all. I got it recorded.
Then we need to, certainly, at the end of this year, at the end of this year, let's contact that member and let them put a check in the bank and look forward. All right, yes, Hilda?
Question, when she says she's gonna send everybody all this, do you want that as part of the meeting minutes?
If she sends that, it doesn't have to be part of the meeting minutes. You can just highlight in 2 or 3 words the topic. But if she sends you any material like that, you'll need to.
Well, I'll
file-
have to
you'll need
take the redacted parts
If
out.
you send it, you'll have to file it. You'll have to file it. So,
And really, like with your minutes, it's just kind of abbreviated. It's just kind of what took place, what occurred, not really he said, she
No, I
said.
understand, I'm asking specifically for her report, which is several pages long. Do I add that to my minutes? Because that's the easiest thing for me to do, is just to take her stuff and put it in my minutes.
I'll give it to you in a Word document so you can copy and paste.
If she can pull the other parts out, then yes.
Yeah, I'll redact it.
exactly.
Um,
But you don't need to try to write that up. It's just it's now a legal document. So you'll need to make sure that we have it filed along with the
That
meeting.
means I have to put it in my minutes, because I don't know how else it gets filed.
Okay, all right. It's fine. Okay, we'll move on then. Any property owners want to address the board?
I do.
Sure.
I gotta get up off my stick.
And you got 2 minutes now, because we're, a lot of folks, so you need to hurry up and get up.
Look at your time, get it done, go on the, has to sell, so.
You want me to start your time now?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I just got, I have some questions, but there's one thing that I gotta say. I have a boogie board, right, and a bikini, and I come down and I have my key hooked into my boogie board linear thing. I can't carry no ID, I can't be carrying, I don't want no thing hanging on my neck. So I'm saying, I don't wanna do that. So then you say, well, then what can we do for you to? I'm saying, well, take my picture and stick it by my name or something. So then they go, oh, yeah, that's her. Okay, go. That's all I'm saying. I can't carry all this crap to the river and enjoy myself.
We don't have a,
My
hey,
moving away.
Leanne, we don't have a process now and you're voicing your opinion
I'm
and
just
your,
saying.
whatever. So that's
That's
good.
gonna come
Okay.
up. A lot of people are like, dude,
Sure.
I can't, you know.
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't wanna do it about her.
All-
Why not just take a little tiny picture and stick it next to the person's date on name or something for the great gate readers can see that person, that way they don't have to be.
We'll discuss that as they're
Yeah,
creating the
okay,
procedure.
why does everyone get 2 keys? I mean, the articles say members, spouse, or members, property owners, a member, or not and, or their spouse. So only one of them gets the vote of the membership. Only one of them gets a key, so you're given a spare key. So I'm like, mine just sits there. And I'm like, why do I have 2 keys?
Leanne, because sometimes husband and wives don't talk.
Yeah.
One's fishing while the other one's floating.
Yeah, but you know, so when you get 2 keys out,
Yeah.
they're selling that other key. So you're just giving them an opportunity to do it. And if you just only give everybody, one member gets 1 key, and only 1 membership per household, 1 key per house. Too bad. If you lose it, come try to buy another one.
You don't get another one. We
Better
don't
bet
do
in
the
your case will
replacements.
help.
Okay, your time's up. Thank you, though. We take that into consideration. Anybody
And
else?
another thing,
Yeah.
I'm grandfathered in. Don't even come at me with those fraudulent stinking 19.
Wait a minute, I'm just,
I totally
Be nice.
disagree.
be nice.
I
Your
am.
time's up. Okay, you
Okay.
did good, so everything's fine.
Nobody's doing that.
Anybody else care to
Nobody's
speak
com- nobody's
to the
coming
board?
after you.
And I never agreed.
Okay, board members, oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead, sir.
Yes.
And what is your name?
Brad.
Brad.
I live over on Washington Ave.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you're all speaking to a lawyer, so they'll let you know what's going on. But I just wanted the question of is an Airbnb or a short-term rental, is it a business? And the answer is yes and no. Depends on the circumstances, right? And so A hosted rental is a legally distinct definition by Florida Law Statute 212.03 and Statute 509.134B that renting only a portion of your primary residence, and that's very important, primary residence or your part of your property does not require a business license, and it is not a legal business entity. The IRS classifies short-term rentals without significant services, which is like a maid and, stuff like that, the hotel, right? Without significant services as just rental income on Schedule E, same as long-term rentals, and not as business income requiring Schedule C tax filing. So not all short-term rentals are in violation of our deed restrictions. And if we do a full ban, which I've seen a lot of people calling for, that would be unequal enforcement of our TREPO deed restrictions. In regards to Florida Statute 720, Homeowners Associations Act, the legal precedent has already been set that the POA cannot selectively pick and choose which violations or deed restrictions to enforce. So in short-term rental restrictions are enforced, but if the piles of garbage in people's lawns and, the drugs and the shootings that are happening while my kids are out in the yard playing, which, sorry, ooh, man. Anyway, so the shooting, my kids are dodging bullets and we're worried about short-term rentals, man, and so, but anyway, so the economic argument is that poverty brings drugs and crime and shootings, and prosperity raises property values and motivates people to improve their properties. And so Florida tourism is huge, and personally, I'd rather see a short-term rental pop up next door to me than another meth lab. And so, in short, not all short-term rentals are in violation of our deed restrictions. This would be an unequal enforcement of the deed restrictions. And if the ban moves forward, the people that are around here would come in, right? And so, anyway, that's that. And if it's the parks we're worried about, it's not Airbnbers that are flooding the parks. I get proposed propositions 10 to 12 times a year to buy my key by people in Brantford, O'Brien, Fort White, like everywhere except the Airbnbers. They come in groups of 1 to 4 at the most, and they're just looking to, and again, there are some issues or some people that abuse that. And again, I think we can come up with a compromise as a community, as a group, which doesn't punish one or the other. Like, we can do this. We can figure this out. It's not that hard. It's actually, precedent has been set all over the country where lots of communities have dealt with this. They've come together and figured it out. Sorry, I'm over my time.
Thank you, Brett.
I have all the statutes.
Points are well taken. That's great. Appreciate it. You got copies of that. I appreciate it. So let's.
So there are several.
We're not going to debate.
So I only have like 4 or 5 copies.
So does anyone else want to speak to the board?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion here, second here. Matthews and Charlie. So we're adjourned.
No, good.
Yes, I'd like to have one, please.
Who,